Today's story takes us to Srinagar, where a quiet morning turned into a moment no one expected. A police station that had stood for years as a place of safety was suddenly reduced to broken walls and scattered debris. The shock of the blast echoed across the valley, and the loss that followed left the entire region in silence. 9 police officers, men who had simply shown up for their duty, never returned home. The explosion was so powerful that even people living far away felt the ground shake. It looked like the kind of destruction usually linked to a terror attack, but this time the truth was more complicated, and in many ways, even more unsettling. This wasn't an attack, it was an accident, caused by something that had been brought there for investigation. A few weeks earlier, in Faridabad, a major terror plot had been intercepted. A group posing as harmless professionals had been caught with a staggering collection of chemicals, including nearly 3,000 kilograms of ammonium nitrate. The scale of their plan was frightening. They intended to create multiple blasts across India, similar to the one near the Red Fort. Had they succeeded, the damage would have been beyond imagination, but the chemicals were seized before they could be used, and countless lives were saved. After the arrests, the seized chemicals were transported to Srinagar for forensic examination and to be preserved as evidence in future legal proceedings. These materials were stored inside the Nagam police station. For days, they sat quietly in a corner, while officers continued their usual routines. But what no one realized was that something dangerous was silently building up. To understand what happened next, we need to understand the nature of ammonium nitrate. It is a strange material, harmless when used correctly, destructive when ignored. Farmers around the world use it as fertilizer. Construction and mining companies use it to break rocks. Yet this same chemical, if stored in the wrong place, under the wrong temperature, or in a room with poor ventilation, can suddenly become unstable. History has shown us what ammonium nitrate can do. In 2020, thousands of tons of it were stored for years in a warehouse in Beirut. No one expected it to explode. But one day, a small fire ignited the stack, and what followed was a blast so enormous that it flattened entire neighborhoods. It was one of the most powerful non-nuclear explosions ever recorded. This one example alone shows how dangerous the chemical can be. In Srinagar, early reports suggest that the seized chemicals may have been stored in a room that lacked proper ventilation and temperature control. The material brought from Faridabad was not just plain ammonium nitrate. The terrorists had already mixed it with fuel, a combination known as ANFO, a highly unstable mixture used in several past attacks, including the Pulwama bombing. Storing such a mixture requires extreme caution, expert handling, and conditions that prevent heat and pressure from building up. At some point inside that police station, the wrong elements came together. The heat rose. The air circulation was insufficient. The chemicals had already been mixed with fuel, and then, without warning, the explosion happened. What was meant to be preserved as evidence became the cause of a tragedy. This incident reveals something much deeper, a shift in how terror groups operate. Instead of relying only on military-grade materials like RDX, many groups have turned to common industrial chemicals. These are easier to buy, easier to hide, and harder to track. Ammonium nitrate, especially when mixed with everyday fuels, becomes a deadly tool for those looking to cause destruction. India has laws to regulate this chemical. In 2012, strict rules were created for storing, transporting, and selling ammonium nitrate. But rules only work when followed with absolute discipline. One small oversight, one moment of carelessness, and everything can collapse. The Nagam blast has shown that even after material is seized from terrorists, the responsibility to handle it safely continues. Perhaps even more so, It also reminds us why intelligence agencies work the way they do. By catching the Faridabad group before their plan unfolded, they prevented devastation across several cities. The lives saved will never be counted because the tragedy never happened. But the blast in Srinagar shows the other side of the coin. Stopping the attack is only half the work. What happens to the seized material afterward is equally critical. Ammonium nitrate is not just another chemical. It behaves like something alive, stable on some days, unpredictable on others. It demands respect, controlled environments, skilled handling, and continuous monitoring. And when any of these elements fail, the consequences are immediate and unforgiving. The officers at Naugam paid the price for a mistake they never made. Their family,